Want to turn your passion for drawing into a full-time career? Discover our courses at Brushcamp where you become a master in the realm of digital painting. Brushcamp offers tons of similar courses in illustration, 2D, 3D design. Level up your creativity with free knowledge and courses. Visit brushcamp.com today and explore endless possibilities.
Hi, welcome to Sketching course. We are going to the first lesson of this course. The first lesson is course and thinking while studying. In the first lesson, you don't need to draw or do anything. Just listening and thinking. I think this is the most important lesson of the course, because we are going to talk about what you should and shouldn't do, and misunderstandings about the art industry, so that you can avoid it, as well as being able to develop in the right direction, without making fundamental mistakes. Let's go to the first lesson. We will learn about perspective. We will briefly introduce 1-point perspective, 2-point perspective and 3-point perspective. In my opinion, you don't need to study these knowledge too deeply for the sketching course. I will talk about the 3-course route that you will learn. I'll introduce. We have Photoshop. We will mainly use Photoshop in this course. If you do not have a computer or Wacom, you can draw on paper. It will have many inconveniences when doing the exercises of this course. I'll talk about this course. This course will focus mainly on drawing subjects that we can encounter outside. And firstly, it will help you train your hand muscles to be more flexible and easier to draw. You will learn how to draw strokes and capture stylized characteristics of characters or objects. This course will not require too much of the technical part, but will require how you absorb and analyze. In this course, I will focus on teaching you to draw objects such as potted plants, daily books you come across. And you can draw your own book. You go to a coffee shop and see many beautiful trees. You can draw it. And I will talk more about the application of drawing. How many applications will this sketching course have? You can draw a cactus that will look better before you learn. Everything will be a little more lively. The sketching course is about learning to stylize everything we can see. Because this course will be for the next course's illustrations, and not about games. We will learn about illustration in the next course, then the objects. Illustration environments will be more specific to the style of the artist. In my opinion, realistic descriptions require more techniques, and are not very common in the market. You can focus on stylization, thereby easily creating a story for our own picture. The first course and the second course are not related. It means that in the first course, we study from 8 to 10 lessons and have corresponding exercises. The second course is a different course, but it is closely related because it will be developed thinking from the first course up. And if you take both courses, you will understand that it is very related. You can still take the second course separately, so that you already have a good level of hand drawing, and easily pass the first course. You will draw more and need more technique in the second course. At this time, the knowledge of the 1-point, 2-point and 3-point perspective begins to be applied more. And you can tell the story by drawing. It's still a line version. You will not learn about colors in this course. Never try to study everything at once, including lines, rendering, colors, etc., in just one course. I can assure you that it's not worth. And if you learn like that, you will be confused. If your technique is not good enough, you will be confused in having to fix a lot of things because it is wrong a lot. In the second course, instead of just drawing the book in the first course, we will draw it with story. We will use our knowledge of perspective. For example, I will try drawing an object with 3-point perspective. We have a book on the table. In the first course, we only need to draw the book. In the second course, we will apply our knowledge. Then we think about what's on the table. There are pen box, potted plant around. It means that the nature of the work and the context begin to appear. It's more difficult, it takes more technique, and of course it will be more interesting. You will understand when you study. It will have one potted plant, one chair, and we will add the story of this picture. For example, there is a minor card, a chess piece, some very special decorations on the table to show the personality of the owner, or we draw more trees, leaves, grass, to understand where this table is located. It means that in the second course, you will learn how to describe space, including a story. We also only draw lines and apply a lot of knowledge about perspective. Next is the third course. I will also introduce you to all of my 3 courses. The third course requires you to understand the knowledge of the second course and also have the ability to model and perspective. And in the third course, it's still this picture, but this time it has to be more soulful. I'll copy it. The third course is also the pictures of the second course. It will ask you to make a picture like the second course. And we're going to color it, add story, character to it. For example, we have a room at night. This is someone's desk, it is colored. I will also introduce you more to the tools. The tools for coloring. We will understand more about light spots, some ways to create effects for paintings, so on. You can learn more knowledge, how to use and mix colors in bright and dark environments. You can learn more in the third course. And when you finish this course, I think you will be able to create a finished picture just the way you want. Which is your idea? Of course, you can look up ideas on the internet, but you can confidently redraw that idea in your own style. I only demo 3 courses that you will learn, from small objects to large contexts and stories. You will draw a picture with color, with everything. We have to be patient, especially for new learners. Step by step, learn each course. Don't try to jump to the third course, because I understand the third course is very interesting. You can see colors, stories, so many things. But taking the shortcut is always more dangerous than taking the main road. You can reach a certain threshold, but it leaves a lot of mistakes. And you guys are prone to making basic mistakes that no one wants to make. Only later will you realize that you have overlooked a lot of things. These are also the mistakes that artists should avoid today. After going through the introduction of the 3-course roadmap, we will come to the applications that you can learn from this course. First, we can sketch for the sketchbook. It can be roughly called a sketch, but it's your sketch style. It's stylized everything, not realistic. We will sketch for our sketchbook. We can illustrate the diary. I think it will be much more wonderful when you can draw your illustrations in your diary, such as roadside events, a cat, a dog, a house with a beautiful door, etc. You can illustrate and color it after taking all 3 courses. As in the first course, you should only draw small objects. We can de-stress while studying. This is easy to understand. When I was in school, I drew a lot in books, mainly to relieve stress during break time. Even in a boring class, we can draw anything in our head. I think it's an effective way to relieve stress. After learning how to draw, the drawn images can help relieve stress while studying and working. The next is to support sketching ideas to apply in design. This is very important. Most designers now put their job as a matter of expressing their ideas. This course is also enough for you to be able to draw the things you design based on your previous sketch. In the design industry, there is Adobe Illustrator tool. This software is mainly used for designing, but when designing they also need sketches about Photoshop, papers or whatever. Then they stylized it. It's a problem when we can't draw an idea in our head. And almost every designer has it if they don't know how to draw. It will be extremely difficult for them to express their ideas to their boss so that it will be easier when presenting them. I almost see my colleagues and a lot of people around can't draw. They complain because they can't express clearly and have to look for references so people can understand. And after learning this sketch course, we can make it easier to present by doodling, quickly drawing ideas. Next is the most important part. This course can also help you find a job, instead of the 4 reasons above being more entertaining. This 5th purpose will be much more important. That is, you can aim for a stable job with this major. Or I think at the moment, when I shoot this video, I think this is a very good trend. For young people these days, it's the game artist and illustrator. We should distinguish these 2 artists. Why do we have the term game artist and illustrator? About games. The artist will draw for current market games like NFT, Free Fire, or traditional games. And it has many aspects in each job. For example, about game artist job, we will have concept art artist, drawing character artist, background artist, animation artist. And there are many artists in game industry. Not all game artists draw everything. We can see here, these 3 people can be character artists. They are conceptualizing their game characters. Second is the illustrator. Illustrators are people who turn a client's ideas or their own into a painting like this. We see the difference between illustrator and game artist. Game artists, they will draw in the style of that game, and the necessary techniques to draw our anatomy and what must be related to drawing games. And it's a bit more industrial. As for illustration, we will have our own mood, which means that you go to the bookstore and see a lot of books with very different designs. Totally different. It is drawn in many styles, giving many different effects to the book. For example, detective paintings, we will see pencil strokes, dark colors, nylon fabrics or whatever. The picture on the cover of the detective manga shows the seriousness of the incident. How does it describe the nature of a case? Or we can see books about love. We will see a girl painted with oil and ink paintings, watercolor paintings. It will be very gentle, emotional, harmonious colors, mostly pastel. The illustrator will develop in more and more diverse directions and turn an ordinary idea into colorful and vivid. These 2 fields are very good in the Vietnamese and foreign markets too. If you are a game artist, you can work for game companies in Vietnam and also for foreign game companies. And illustrators, you can illustrate books. work at agencies or at companies specializing in advertising, editing. Both these artists have great job opportunities. In addition to the above 4 reasons, this is the original goal of this sketch course. We will also have reasons to study that are really important and affect your future work if you take this course seriously. I'll move on to talent problem. I think it's a great topic. I think a lot of people misunderstand the problem of talent. In painting, what is talent? Misunderstandings about talent and success rate when learning to draw. Talent is something that makes you good at drawing, better than someone in some way. That's called talent in that major. And about the misunderstandings about talent, I've heard from many people, not artists but people around. When looking at someone doing something better than usual, like handicrafts, piano, drawing or whatever, if he is better than the average person, they all say he has talent. And we have to admit that there is a concept of talent. And I also believe it to be real. According to my observations, when looking at myself and my colleagues and painters around, I realize that talent is something you are better off. But it must be accompanied by a lot of your passion. In my opinion, talent is a type that gives you a special passion for that major. It makes you fascinated, curious, and research more about that major. And more you develop your level in that major than the average people. Then people will see you as a talent. Talent is a form of passion. Or it can be said that passion is a talent. The majority of talent will be passion. It doesn't matter if you have a talent for something and are passionate about it. But if you're talented but don't practice, there's actually a lot of people who are better than us. Although we don't know if they have real talent or not, we have to admit that they have practiced many times more than us. Such as singing and modeling. These 2 jobs have additional elements that are both secondary and main, which are vocals and looks. These 2 factors are very important. Even if you have good expressions and faces, we can't be singers if we don't have good voices and if we don't have good looks. It's hard to be professional models. But in the drawing major, I must assure you that talent is not as important as you think. The important thing is how much you are passionate about this drawing. And do you practice enough? That's the most important thing, and always think that if you practice diligently, you can completely beat talent. I forgot to open this one in the first place, but the information will be like this. I will give you a more in-depth example of what talent is. We come back to Photoshop scene. Don't worry about tools, you just need to listen in this lesson. So I don't introduce much about tools. I'll introduce you about tools when we learn lesson 2. I'll show you how to use tools. I'll provide you a folder of brush. I'll give you some example, so that you can understand more about talent. Anyone born into life, I think they can't draw without touching or remembering a thing. In the past, you may notice that most of us and our friends drew people in the style of a stick figure, and many of them even drew a stickman worse than me. Many people draw in monstrous proportions. We can understand that anyone who says that they draw a stickman is just messing around. We can draw a stickman ugly like this. But when we draw much enough, we will realize that these stickmen are very ugly. It's not true. And we start researching. In the past, internet was not popular. We often learn how to draw from comics. I think most of you read comics, and you know the importance of comics. Some comics were drawn beautifully, such as Conan, Draymond, etc. We'll realize that this body proportion has some problem. We realize that everything won't be okay if we still draw like that. You just think about it, you are smarter than your friends. And you draw in a different way. The stickman will have shoulders. hand. Our stickman will develop like that. You think that these champions are wrong. You realize that there is something wrong with the pictures you draw every day. And we have to fix it. Then you start to make more progress. And your passion begins to appear. Your passion will change everything. It means your friends will draw stickmen like that in every exercise. But we think about how to draw our stickman beautifully. And when you grow up, we realize that it is not enough that this stickman can describe emotion or our idea. Then we think about draw a face. A face with 2 ears, hair, 2 eyes and a lip, and a neck. Make our stickman a little bit of meat. We start thinking about filling, so that it doesn't look boring, and your mindset will be improved. And your characters will become more beautiful than your friends. It's the reason why you should exercise. And our purpose is our passion. Your passion is create products, characters that you think. And your friends will chase another purpose instead of drawing. Play game, play music, etc., or whatever they want. They will be good at those majors. And when we focus on drawing, I assure that you will improve a lot. And there is a very important thing. That is, you have to draw diligently and do exercise. You won't success without exercising. Remember it. The exercises that I have compiled here. It's pretty much following the famous curriculum in the world. And I've tweaked it too. The difficulty of the exercise. And also edited the new post. So that you can enjoy more. And it also lightens the load on this basic sketching course. I think if you diligently do the exercises I set out, you will improve your drawing skills quickly. You can sketch as many things as you want. Your success rate when drawing, remember, just 1% of talent. But it hasn't revealed yet. People always have 1% of talent that has not been found. When you finish 99% of passion, you will find out 1% of talent. People say that you have talent, but they can't know that how hard you exercised. And success. I think there are many people talk about it. Some famous people who I don't remember their name talk about. Genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. To refer to Ronaldo or some other famous person. They also tend to build this kind of life. It's popular. But I'm just afraid they'll misunderstand that it's 99% talent with art. But there is anything 99%. We need a lot of effort and practice. And do exercise. I want to remind you that you must do exercise. You can't skip a lesson that you understand. Even if you study subjects like math, physics, and chemistry, you have to do exercise to understand how the formula applies. I hope you take this course. First of all, don't waste your money if you want to improve your drawing skills. It depends on whether you do your homework or not. We will talk about what is visual library and how important it is. We should understand the concept of visual library first. This concept is not too complicated. And how will one person's visual library affect their drawing process? It can be said that it is very important for a person. It's your visual library, or what you see every day. You see, search Google or look anywhere, or all the skills, the images you can see out there. And you add to the visual library. And how important is it in the drawing step? The important thing is that it will help you have the background experience. We can understand that when the arm is folded, the cloth will be folded there. We will understand that there are some obvious things, but we need visual library to show it. Temporarily turn these off. Create new layer. Normally we would draw an arm like this. Hands like this. Ignoring technical factors is how to draw hands properly. And what the size of a human hand is. Let's talk about your visual library-based processing experience. We draw straight out normally. We can draw another arm based on what we have learned. Then we will understand that the fabric will have creases. Our arms will look like this. There may also be an inner shirt. Draw a hand like this. This arm when we draw is based on the image provided by the visual library. Is more lively. It's much more vivid than the old arm. The old arm gets bored. And not even true. Things that are not realistic will sometimes bring unpleasant feelings, unless your style is so good that you can stylize the real things to be simple, compact. We will learn more in Course 2. Visual library is the real experience that we remembered. You apply it, put into the drawing process. It will make you better. Another example, we can draw an arm. Like this. I also think this is a very common thing. I see a lot of people drawing manga and anime like this. When we have visual library, we will understand that his arm won't be like that. It needs more detail. I don't reduce its opacity. I'll draw another arm. In this example, I draw a vest, guys. When curled like that, it will have wrinkles. And sleeve is down. When you raise your hand, it shows the shirt inside. The hand will be able to be like this. Can you compare these two arms? It's very different, based on the image information you have. We all understand visual library is very important. So how to make it more diverse? That is, you have to absorb more knowledge. Every day. My job, as well as my partners, is to go to famous websites about art. Like ArtStation, Pinterest, DeviantArt. It will have a lot of pictures by the artists. And that newsfeed will update a lot of new pictures every day. New creations in the world. They draw a lot of styles. And those hundreds of pictures, we will load in the beginning every day by viewing. seeing how good that picture is. Remember how to handle the shirt light. Watch and analyze it to remember as much knowledge of a painting by another famous artist as possible. It will help you get more information and more images. We will learn that in addition to the vest fabric, there are many different fabrics, like nylon shirt, cloth shirt, cape, many kinds of fabrics, and each fabric will have a different fold, patterns on each fabric, and in the dark, in addition to the light. How will the pattern appear and hide? So we need to observe a lot. Visual library is not simply that you have to go online to look at pictures. It is inadvertently absorbed every day. When we understand this term, we will pay more attention to everything around us. Whatever the window, the sunlight, the light direction, these lumps have what kind of material. You also have to pay more attention to update your visual library more and more, so that when you draw those things, you will draw better than others, because we have seen it in the past. It will help you more. Of course, this visual library is different. That you saw it. And those who can't see it, they can't draw. For example, someone who has never seen red light, or something that you've seen. Surely you can draw better than others. Visual library is very important, and it's very important. Thanks to this, we can handle better than others in art major. Let's move on to the next problem. It's a matter of drawing to patterns, aka references. They usually use references. I have 3 pictures on the screen. The artist of the first picture is Mr. Jake. I don't remember the last 2 pictures. Their style is generally okay. Very beautiful. So what is the problem of drawing according to the references? That is, you like a picture, you redraw it. I'll try drawing this picture. You redraw it, put it on Photoshop. Like this. Then you reduce opacity. You draw over it. This is the behavior to avoid of study. Don't do that when we study. Because when you draw over it, your brain won't process any more information. But we simply draw it as accurately as possible. This is like rote learning. You can draw the exact same picture just by drawing over this picture. And of course, I understand you guys understand this problem, that we shouldn't copy anyone's paintings, even those you want to study, want to learn how to study. That is, you have to analyze the picture, and what do you want to study from that picture? For example, we have a lot of things to study in this picture. We can study geometry. It means that when I look at this, I can understand that. How is the robot drawn? And how well the author uses that block. We can understand that which block the author used. And how to stylize a robot. It has a round block here. The way he added small details, the way he designed machines. When you study it, it will be very effective. That means we have a purpose when we study that picture. If we study it, we can learn how he designed his machines. We can understand this area has these iron rings. And it's connected to this, it makes the robot shrink and move. When you study machines, you will notice this a lot. What kind of machines are there in this dark area? To make it look quite mechanical. it looks good from distance. That's why we study mechanics, and we will pay attention to this. We can study handling and stylization. We can see that he stylized these animals. To the stone, the parts sticking out. How he drew and used line. How was grass drawn and colored. How to manage the number of lines in the picture. You may have noticed that lines are used to describe materials. The front part has lines, the back part has no lines. To make it less confusing for the picture, as well as the back, it will be greener. If we learn lines, we will notice these, we will notice how to handle this. The third thing we can learn from this picture is how to use color. He used color very well, as his paintings always radiate a mood, an atmosphere at that moment. We can see it like a windy hill. And the color is also quite like comic. The way he used the brush to create vectors on this armor is good. This is the direction of the sun's light. It shines on the light receiving part. Reflexes in our eyes. He also handled it very well. And this is an area that doesn't receive much light. This part is dark. And we can learn how he handles this light. That's how to study, and I think you can improve a lot. We should set a purpose before studying anything. Even portraits. Draw smaller objects. You set a goal that today you want to study from him. How to stylize characters. Then we have to pay a lot of attention to the character stylization. That is the right way to study. And if you just try to draw the most like the object, then you will forever be parrot. You don't know why it's beautiful. Because we draw on a beautiful object, it will be beautiful. And we can't understand why it is beautiful. No matter how beautiful the study process is, it will be underestimated. You can study this again, but you can add your own elements. It's still called a study, because we edited some details. If you don't like this, you can replace it with another detail. This horn is bigger, this animal is replaced by another. This horn is cracked. As for this bullet hole, you can make it glow. This bullet could be an ice bullet or something. Create effects on this robot. You can change it. But it is important that you always write the name of the artist you study. But not accepted as your paintings. Studying pictures is just study. You cannot make it your copyright. Remember it. Because the copyright issue in Vietnam is quite ambiguous. It also doesn't have a lot of legal constraints. So in the art community, we respect each other. It is also respecting this major. Everything will be easier for you later on. Even if someone steals your art in the future, it's easier for you to talk if you're a person who respects copyright. The worst case scenario is that you study someone's drawing, then someone steals your painting. Then we can't sue, because we're also not good at protecting other people's copyright. So we must clearly distinguish between study and self-creation. In this course, I also aim to hope that you can draw as much as possible on your own, without copying another's pictures. It's only supported by your doing your homework. Try to do the exercises of this course. I think you will reap the results you deserve. We're going to the last part of this lecture. How should things start? With a starter. It's only for starters. How do you study to draw? First of all, don't set too high expectations on yourself when you're just starting out. It means that everyone's goal when learning to draw is to draw well and draw quickly. Draw well, draw quickly, and get good results. Don't set your expectations that high. We are really not geniuses. If someone on this course is a genius, congratulations. Most will be normal like me. So don't set your expectations too high. If we set our expectations too high, and we don't achieve it in the early step, it's easy to get discouraged. All pain comes from putting too much expectation on it. You just expect enough. That means after we finish this course, we can set goals like being able to sketch a book. We can draw it by our idea. Draw a tree, a window, a cat. You can draw everything by your style, or the style of someone that you like. If you set a goal like that, I think if you close this course, you can easily achieve it. And if you put it, you can draw one page of foreign children's stories. There's a story, there's a character, there's an anatomy, there's punches and kicks. Then you have a very high expectation, even higher than me. At this moment, it is Marvel's comic. It's very hard, so you have to do step by step, in whatever major, especially art major. I believe that if you set expectations step by step at a time, and overcome it, it will help you a lot. Instead of setting yourself to high expectations, right from the start. Stick to the lesson plan, study the theory carefully, then try diligently to do the exercises. Stick to the lesson plan, study the lesson plan, the items I give you. Thoroughly researched. The third is enjoy the feeling of drawing and the results. I hope you guys make it to step 3. The step which you grasp the theory and practice. You do the exercise and overcome it. And you realize that your hands are getting more flexible. Every day, your hand has coordinated with your mind to create images. But before, you thought in your head but couldn't draw it. Or you drew too bad. You just enjoy the feeling of drawing that this is the result you get by working hard. Then I hope you will complete the course successfully. Lesson 1 is end. You can turn off this video and continue with the next video. Beginning part. Thanks for watching and listening.
Please like and subscribe to our channel.